What's up YouTube, this is Tube Digger. In this video I'm going to show you how you can use the cross modulation facility in the tone tracks of the MC707 to add a bit of SP1200 dirt and grit to your breakbeat samples. I'll also show you how cross modulation works in general, and hopefully this video will give you some interesting sound design tips and tricks for your Roland MC707. Before I get into this video, I just want to thank all my current subscribers, anyone that's liked and shared my videos, anyone that follows and supports me on social media, and of course anyone that's been very kind and donated to this channel. I'm not sponsored by Roland or Akai or any other companies to make these videos. I'm completely independent, so any help is very much appreciated and I'll be extremely grateful. There's a PayPal link in the description. If you'd like private lessons with myself, please contact me at tubedigger@gmail.com for more details. And last of all, please hit that bell notification symbol on the home page of my YouTube channel to notify you of any new videos that I upload. So the MC707 comes with three main track types: drum tracks, tone tracks and looper tracks. We're going to use a tone track because this is where you have the cross modulation facility. So let's take a look at the cross modulation. What does it do? It basically allows us to modulate oscillator 1 or oscillator 3 using oscillator 2 or oscillator 4 respectively. So in this case, oscillator 2 is going to modulate oscillator 1, and this can produce some really interesting textural and timbral changes in the source or the modulated sound. So let's just take a listen to that first of all. If we go to our first oscillator, by default that's a virtual analog oscillator type and the waveform is a sawtooth, and it just sounds like this. If we use the up arrow and go up to structure, you can see that it's currently set to off. If we switch it on, we can choose sync, ring, Xmod and Xmod 2 or cross mod 2. So we're going to use cross mod 1. Over here is your modulation amount, so let's just bring that down. So this should sound as it did before. If we increase the modulation amount, we're going to get some crazy effects. So that's up around 2/3 of the maximum, which is 10,800 cents. So let's bring that back down to around 7,000 where we had it before. Now, if we go to oscillator 2, you can see that the switch is off for that. So there's no waveform being produced on oscillator 2. Let's switch it on. So that's it with it on. Let's switch it off. Sounds like that. So let's now change the waveform of oscillator 2. So this is just the virtual analog waveforms, of which there are several. If we turn this anti-clockwise to PCM, these are the internal samples inside the MC707, and there's tons of them. So as you can see, there's tons of scope for sound design, and you're basically multiplying the amount of waveforms or the amount of possible sounds in this machine by a huge number just by adding an amount of cross modulation. And of course we can still change the modulation amount here and offset that with all the different wave types found in the oscillator section. So what I'm going to do is now load a sample breakbeat into oscillator 1 instead of using this virtual analog synth. So let's go to wave file, press enter. I'm going to go to my breakbeat folder. So let's just choose this one. That's perfect. Let's add that. Exit. We're still in our tone edit. Now that's been added to our oscillator now. So as you'll see, oscillator 2 has now been reset. So whenever you load a new sample into a tone track, it resets all the parameters there. It is better to import it outside of this screen in the project manager. So if you go to project and go to sample, enter, and then you've got this menu here, you can use the fourth knob to just press import there. And if you import it in this mode, it won't overwrite the current oscillator that's in your tone track. So let's go back to sound. So we've got our breakbeat on oscillator 1. So just as a little side note, let's talk about the edit modes of the tone edit. So you can have it in two different modes, partial, which is this PTL here, or you can have it in easy mode. Now partial mode allows me to, for example, you can see I've got partial 4 selected. I need to press oscillator 1, partial 2 is oscillator 2, oscillator 3 and oscillator 4. Let's choose partial 1. Just as an example, let's go over to the EQ. This is now completely independent for this particular layer. So if we go to filter there, not EQ, let's just turn the cutoff down for partial 1. If we go to partial 2, you can see that that is at the default value, so they're independent. So that's why I prefer to work in partial mode. If you do want these parameters to be universal for all 4 partials or oscillators, you can go over here and change edit mode to easy. So I'm just going to go over here to control and go to partial control. Velocity control is on. I want to turn that off just so we can hear this at full volume. So let's go up to structure. You can also see that this has now also been reset to off. Let's turn it back to X mod or cross mod. Now just with the current or default modulation setting, we start to get that kind of grainy, kind of slightly bit crushed feel to it. And what it's modulating is pretty much the pitch, because as you can see, if we go up to the maximum value of 10,800, it's completely tuned our sample out of a kind of sensible range. So let's bring that down to 8,000 or 7,000 again. So you do have to offset the amount of modulation with the pitch. If we press function and offset the pitch, we can return our sample back to something usable. But we haven't actually introduced the second oscillator yet. So let's now listen to it with the modulation applied. Let's now switch on oscillator 2. And let's choose some different waveforms. This is a square, triangle, Juno. So I found that if we increase the coarse tuning of oscillator 2 to the maximum value, this produces the best results. And now you really start getting that slightly bit crushed sound to your sample. So that sounds pretty decent to me, but let's check out the different waveforms. So this is just the virtual analog waveforms, and this is a triangle 3. So they're all slightly different. So let's change the oscillator type from virtual analog to PCM. So there's so many waveforms in here that can have different effects on the sample that you've loaded into oscillator 1. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but I have found that a lot of the brass samples work well. The single shot sounds will produce some kind of fluctuation in the pitch at the start of the sample, but let's just try some of the looping or sustaining waveforms. So I can tell that one's really nice. This is a tuba, it's number 329 in bank C. And I can tell that that's a really nice one because the high frequency content is quite pronounced, even though this is quite a low pitch sample. Anyway, what I'm going to do is put a note or a step in the sequencer. So to do that, we just need to press the step, press a pad, and let's see if this is timed up with our sequence. Then I'm going to press and hold the step, and then we can edit the length. So let's just adjust the length to 1599. So that's a bit too fast. So let's just press and hold it, and we can just simply adjust the note rather than tuning it inside the oscillator. Let's just do it again. It doesn't matter, you can tune it here or you can change your tempo, and it's basically just about offsetting either the note or the actual tuning, the coarse tuning here, and of course the modulation in the structure can affect the tuning and pitch, and as a result the speed. So you will have to play these off to get your samples to work at various different tempos, but it's pretty easy. Just as an example, let's press tempo, move my big data knob down to 106. This is going to be far too fast, so we can either go to the oscillator, press function and reduce the coarse tuning. Okay, so that's pretty much spot on at 106 beats per minute. But you get the idea. You can either press and hold the step and adjust the note event here for a higher or lower note, or you can adjust the actual tuning of the oscillator itself. It's actually quite useful. You can use the modulation amount as a fine tune as well. But it's the different waveforms with the structure and the cross mod switched on that give you that kind of textural quality. So let's copy this track, and then we can switch all these settings off for one so we can compare them side by side. So let's exit out of there. To copy a track, you press the up arrow so the entire track is selected, and then you use this menu to go down to copy. It says copy track 2, move across to track 3, simple, paste all, and that's fine. So that's pasted the sound and the clip. So let's go into the sound editor or the tone edit for track 3, and let's just switch off the cross modulation. Now I've switched that off, we will need to tune this up so it matches the break in track 2 or our tempo. So let's use the modulation to offset the fine tuning for that. There's other things that we can do to make it sound even more crispy. We can make sure we're on the track. Let's go over to the EQ. So we've got to make sure we're on partial 1, and we can turn on the EQ for that. And let's add a bit of high and low to this. You could use an MFX, but I really like finding out alternative ways to process your sounds which aren't just easily accessible by just going to a bank of effects. This is unique, and it's something that you have to dive a little bit deeper, which is what I'm interested in doing to get something different out of this machine. So hopefully I'll be doing some more of these MC707 sound design videos. Please keep your eyes and ears peeled. Please hit the bell notification symbol on the homepage of my channel, and that will notify you of any new videos that I upload to this channel. Please like, share and subscribe. Please follow me on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. That would be a big help. Please hit me up if you're interested in private lessons, and I'll see you on the next one. This is Tube Digger, and I'm out.